Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Tuesday. It's a Tuesday on a Tuesday. I am your intrepid host, Rich Tesla. This is the Two Guys Tech Home Lab Hour. I hope you guys are doing well. I slept really poorly last night. So if I don't seem myself, it's because I only got like 6 hours of sleep. But sometimes I feel like an old man. Like, when you reach in your 40s, sometimes you don't sleep good, and it's just the way it is. So whatever. See, the chat is blowing up. It's good to see all of you. I got Trucker Alley Cat UK. I've got Sakura. I've got Manchuchu, Levix. 6 hours. I know Levix are probably saying, "Oh, that's too much sleep." Especially if you have young kids, if you're in that phase of life, a couple hours is bliss. Jason's in there. Who else we got in here? I just want to make sure we come on. Terry Johnson, way early. I'm sorry, Terry. There won't be any Hyper-V conversations today, which I apologize. You missed that one. That was it. I'm never going to talk about it again. Anyway, like I said, this is the Two Guys Tech Home Live Hour. This is the 42nd episode, which I just got to say, it just turns out that that's the way it is. There's a lot of people in the chat talking about, anytime that there's a Douglas Adams Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, you got to call it out. I'm not going to go into the book, but it is really it's a fundamental part of my childhood, childhood sci-fi reading, right? I was, when I wasn't looking at computers. Anyway, let's get to it. So let's get the housekeeping out of the way. As always, this is the show where, I hang out with, the community and talk about home labs, talk about self-hosting. If you have any questions about any of the content that has gone out, because I know there's a lot of people who don't interact on social media and stuff like that, this is the place to do it. It's also just a place to, just to chat and throw things around and show you some stuff and talk about the content that's coming. As always, I think I mentioned this, but throw the questions in the chat. Brandon will get them up on the screen. Speaking of that, Brandon's turning the knobs and pressing the dials and doing all that kind of stuff behind the scenes. So if the show is good, it's because of Brandon. If the show is bad, it's all because of me. Trucker Alley Cat was also talking about, if you've not seen the BBC series The Hitchhiker's Guide, you're missing out. I don't actually think I have. I did watch the original movie. I obviously read the book too, but I did watch the original movie when that came out a long time ago. I didn't think that the remake was all that good. You can throw your tomatoes and whether the hateful things, but does the computer case have purple now? I don't know. You mean talking about the microphone? Just the microphone. What else? After the show, actually, before I say that, I get 2 times the show to talk about our Discord. That is really the community part of everything. Totally free, totally available to everybody. I hope if you see this and you're watching for the first time, you're like, oh, I want to be part of that. It's a place to talk to me, Brandon, John. It's a place to talk with like-minded nerds and home labbers and ask questions and get help and get answers and that kind of stuff, which is fun. And then just to share in the plethora of memes that get posted every single day. I have to say, as an aside, no, I haven't done anything for the ADM3 yet. Thank you. It's sitting on the floor here. Things have gotten busy. I have to say that one of my daily rituals is, because, we have a global audience. The internet is global, friends. I don't know if you knew that. So I'll get up, in the morning. I'll make sure I do all the things I got to do. When I sit down to do my day job, before I do that, I'll check Discord and just take in the pounds, the kilos of memes, whatever measurement of weight you want to throw in there. But I enjoy that so very much. And after the show, I will hop into the Discord, and there's a lot of other people hopping there. We just kind of do an after show hangout talk, mostly talking over each other, but it's a good place to, hang out, ask people how their weeks are going, what's happening in their lives, what's happening in the tech day jobs or the non-tech day jobs, and just hang out. Anyway, that's enough preamble. Pre-ramble's a better way to describe that. Let's move on. So I want to start with just officially saying, Brandon, if you can bring up the screen again. We did it, fam. I think it was it Saturday or Sunday or Monday? I can't remember what day it was. We officially launched the basically our Patreon, relaunched the Patreon and the YouTube membership program. I'm not gonna spend a whole bunch of time here. I'm not gonna sell this and shill it to you guys. But if you want to support us, I appreciate it. I genuinely do. And I just want to say that, I'm reluctant to go into things like this because I feel shilly and I feel like I'm trying to sell myself in a way that makes me feel uncomfortable. But, I got to say that the community is what pushed for this, and I cannot say thank you any more than that. It means a lot. And so, it doesn't matter which platform you choose. If you want rather stay on YouTube and you do YouTube membership, the perks are the same. Hop on to Patreon. Pick your poison, friends. Any poison will do. I will say, and Brandon's asked me to make sure I say this, is that for people who joined the YouTube membership thing, and I made a comment in the Discord. I'm like, Google gonna Google, right? This is it. So Patreon's like, hey, we have a bot. You can plug it in and you will just add your users to groups in Discord. Because one of the perks there you can see is like a special role. Lets people know that you're a supporter. So Patreon's just like, yeah, it's like 2 clicks and it's done. Google's like, no, it's like, look at me. I'm the YouTube Discord bot now. And so it creates like 3 different perk categories and controls access to them. But the thing is, you still have to connect your YouTube account to your Discord to make that automatically show up. And I think that just sucks. But here we are, folks. That's just the way it works. It's 2026, and I think it was one of our Discord members was like, yeah, a multi-billion-dollar company, they don't care. They're going to do what they're going to do, and you just got to live with it. So that is all I'm going to say about that. But I do, guys, seriously, from the bottom of my heart, it warms the cockles and the subcockle regions of my ventricles. Or I'm not a doctor and I don't play one on TV, but it means a lot. So we'll leave that at that. Anyway, Brandon, let's just drop back to full-time face here, and let's I got a bunch of things to show you. I'm not gonna call an audible. Sorry, I take that back. Let's talk about the big thing that I want to talk about, because I think it's cute. Sakura got it. Sakura got my comment there. Thank you, Dennis Leary. Right? You're not a doctor, but you play one at home. Coral Dayton. Not this so much as you know. Anyway, I'm glad I love the chat. Anyway, in December of last year, I was saying that makes it feel like it was so long ago. A friend of the Discord had hit me up, and after I'd made my Unify video where I did the UDM Pro Max switch from the PF Sense, and he's like, "Hey man, this guy works in hardware, so this wasn't like out of the back of a stolen vehicle or something." Just to be clear, I want to be clear. He's like, "Hey, I've got an unused EFG, Enterprise Fortress Gateway from Ubiquiti, that it's never basically ever been used. It was sent as a demo to try it out, and we don't need it. We're not going to use it." And I'm like, "Go on, tell me more." And I worked out a deal. He worked me like a really great, really good deal, because it's a crazy expensive system. So let's just look at what I'm talking about first. So back to the screen, kind sir. I don't know how well you can see that stuff. Maybe I can enhance it. I feel like it's Super Troopers. Enhance. Nope, that doesn't work. 250 is too much. 200 is where it's at. All right, so I have a Dream Machine Pro Max, the UDM Pro Max. And that's, if you watch the video, thank you. That was, the whole journey of Rich leaving PF Sense behind and going to Unify. I know I broke Sakura's heart, and I made a lot of people happy. I mean, it's just, in a couple years when things speed up and it's time to change hardware, I'll reevaluate everything. But the Enterprise Fortress Gateway is if we just go to, if I can minimize this, it is the big boy, it is basically Ubiquiti's top of the line firewall. And it is as you see there, a $1,999 piece of equipment versus the $600 unit that I bought, which is the UDM Pro Max. Those two side by side are basically the two highest end rack mounted firewall gateway platforms that Unify has. And the getting that meant now I had to I'm going to swap this thing out. I got to use this thing. And so I went through the process. But before I did of swapping things out, I wanted to make sure that I had a video opportunity. So I started doing some real deep, look, forgive me if I say this out loud, but I'm going to say it anyway. Like the video of moving over, the decision was made. It was more about the process of getting there, right? And making that movement over from pfSense to UniFi. Once I had done that, you know, I was committed at that point because the pfSense, matter of fact, I shipped that thing off to a new home afterwards, the old pfSense box, because, you know, I like to pass on hardware. That's really important to me, that things just don't die if somebody can get some use out of it. So I didn't do a lot of deep testing on the UDM Pro Max because, one, it was functioning great in terms of like average throughput. Nobody was complaining. The network was snappy enough. It was fine. But once the EFG came into my possession, it became more of a, let's see what this thing looks like. So can I compare this? Okay, there we go. So I just want to do a top level conversation about the difference between these. So big boy on the left, more reasonably priced, next in line big boy on the right. I'm going to actually turn on unique specs only so we can, kind of see the differences here versus the similarities. So the big one right at the top here, outside of the physical size, the EFG is a little bit deeper, is that the EFG only does the network application, like the UniFi dashboard as we know it, the thing that manages clients and firewall rules and controlling devices, that thing. You guys know what I'm talking about. And it does not have the ability to run protect, access, and basically the other UniFi applications. And so, if you're looking for a turnkey, I'm going to just wholesale consume the UniFi ecosystem. The UDM Pro Max is kind of like the top of that thing, right? Scrolling down, you look at these like managed unified devices, like 500 plus, 200 plus, whatever. No cameras because again, no protect software package on it. And these numbers are all like basically bigger, more stronger hardware. Of course, you're going to have better numbers, but the big kind of perk for me on the EFG was it has SFP plus 28 connections. And, SFP 28 connections mean 25 gigabit, which is daddy like, right? Where with the UDM Pro Max, you get 10 at most, which is still fine. And then of course there's a difference in ports and whatnot. But here's the thing, if you guys remember, when I did the Dream Machine Pro video and I chose this model specifically because it was rated for 5 gigabit a second, right? Oh man, I'm just ignoring the chat, by the way. The chat is, there's a bit of a conversation going on there. And I encourage you to read it. You're both not wrong. You're not wrong. Anyway, the UDM Pro Max 5 gigabit. When I have a 5 gig internet connection, so I'm like, that's the one I want to get because it matches what I've got. And I don't really, at least in the next 3 years, foresee myself going to faster than 5 gig internet. So why pay for that if I'm not going to have a device that can run it? That was like one of the key decisions on that model. The EFG says 12.5 gig, and that's with their IDS IPS. Neither of these actually show like real layer 3 or layer 2 packet stuff. They just don't. They just call the IDS IPS throughput out. The EFG's got redundant power supplies, hot swappable redundant power supplies. They both do the like shadow mode, the active passive failover functionality. And the EFG has SSL inspection and URL filtering. Cool. That's an enterprise level firewall thing. Long story short, and then obviously let's talk about there's different power consumption. Key thing is in terms of CPU, the Dream Machine Pro Max is running a quad core ARM Cortex A57, which is a small lower power CPU, right? It still runs at 2 gigahertz. It's not bad. It's got, the system's got 8 gigs of RAM by default in it. But the Enterprise Fortress Gateway, I had to get on the box and actually do the identifier lookup because again, UniFi here, 18 core ARM. What kind of ARM is it? Well, it's a Marvell Thunder X2, basically server grade silicon 18 core CPU, version 8.2 running 2 gigahertz. And even though it doesn't say system memory here, the system comes by default with 16 gigs. At any rate, so big differences in terms of performance. So I went through the process of testing and evaluating, and I just want to, yeah, I know it's Leva said, 18 core ARM. I mean, yeah, it's that Thunder X2 chip is, I mean, it's a server grade silicon chip. I mean, it's a computer technically inside, and I'm making a video about this. And I'm gonna give you guys a little inside baseball because I don't mention it in the video. If you open up the EFG, there's actually a DIMM slot in it. You can actually replace it or upgrade the RAM even beyond 16 gigs. I don't know what value that would give you in something that's doing this, but you could throw some more in there. Put another stick of DDR4 if you can afford it. Anyway, so I started to test this thing out and do some light testing. The first thing I did was bring up the EFG by itself and left the UDM Pro Max in place in my network. And it doesn't have an ASIC in it. That's the Sakura getting right to the meat of the bone here, or get to the bone. It's doing that all on the actual CPU itself. But I'm going to bring up a thing here. I'm going to show you a video, and Brandon's probably going to have to make me go away so you guys can actually see it. Hopefully you can still hear me. Brandon, you want to bring up the UI speed test UDM video, please? Yeah. I don't know if that's visible. It's teeny weeny for me. Anyway, what you see there is on the left, I'm clicking the speed test button for the UDM Pro Max. And this is testing out to the interwebs. And I wish I could see it in its full glory. Let me expand my screen here. Go a little bit. Thank you, Brandon. So yeah, and so we ultimately end with a throughput test of, let's just back up just a wee bit so we can see it here. Where's that? Right there? Is that good? Apologies, I just want to show you guys this. Why you gotta be like that? Fun times trying to figure out StreamYard. Okay. All right, so does that show the speed? Stand by. Technical difficulties? Not really, actually. There we go. So I can just maximize. I have to maximize it so I can actually read it because it's really, really small for me. God dang it. Okay. All right, and I can't do it. Anyway, so you can look at the speed there. Game over, Dave. Welcome. Terry Johnson. Terry, I said to you, you missed it, but I said specifically there's no Hyper-V for you. So anyway, it comes out to, under my 5 gigabit on both sides. If I could just get this thing to full screen, it would be cool. There we go. If I click off of this and go over here, gotta love it. All right, I can't do it. Anyway, it was a little bit over for, 3 and 4 gigabits. Thank you, Brandon. And that's basically what it's always been in terms of throughput. This is going to Unify servers, and this is one video example that I ran a lot. I ran this over and over and over again, and basically got the same performance every single time. But I then, and I did some other testing too, which I'll show you in a second, but Brandon, now bring up the EFG. When I put the EFG back in place and replaced the UDM Pro Max, and we'll see if this happily runs. And what you'll see here is when it kicks off, it buries the needle in terms of my throughput. It has no problem, maybe. Apparently watching videos inside of StreamYard, there we go. It just buries the needle in terms of my throughput. The EFG has no problem using up all my internet bandwidth. And here's the thing. I had originally thought all this time that my internet speed was effectively capped by my ISP. Like the ISP just wasn't delivering the 5 gig I was paying for. Turns out that is not the case. The reality is that the UDM Pro Max wasn't capable of fully moving all of that data across my a 5 gig internet connection. And even now, like if I go here, Brandon, why don't you bring up the website? There we go. So if we go over to, this is live data. It's a heck of a lot smoother than that video. And you can see I'm moving some data here. I peak around 50 or so download, and we're doing a live stream now, so some of this, and hopefully this doesn't kill me, but you can see this pretty well here. If I enhance my last test that I did on this today, at 3:34 in the afternoon, was 5.24 gigabit down and 5.18 gigabit up. So all of a sudden I start looking at the UDM Pro Max and I'm going, I don't know if your numbers are actually, if you can actually hit that 5 gigabits a second that you were selling. And it really started to, make me dig deeper here. So the video will go into that further, just to be clear. I don't want to spoil all of it, but point being, there's definitely something about these numbers that they're communicating that I just don't know if they're actually truthful. So at a minimum, the video will definitely garner quite a bunch of emotional response from the Unify crowd. So, engagement, that's what we all love, right? But anyway, so that's coming. That's it. But strange numbers, strange things. I'm still happy with both products because I think fundamentally, for the people who are buying a UDM Pro or a UDM SE or a Pro Max, if that's what you want to do, you really are buying it not just because of the hardware, but really mostly because of the user experience, right? That's the fundamental. That's the undercurrent of the story here. So you go with Unify because you want that single pane of glass, baby. I said it. Drink. Cheers, right? Anyway, so that's kind of like, that's fundamentally what that video is gonna be out, and it'll be out hopefully later this week. That's my plan. So that's been the thing that's really been eating at me, is that everybody drink. Okay, BK says put $1 in the jar. I think that if you got something other than Blue Zero Powerade next to you, at least it's not the green version because it'd mess with the green screen, but. Where's the Coral Dayton? Where's the Dasani, Rich? I thought you were sponsored by them. Sponsored by Dasani. It's what's in my fridge. Not sponsored. And Shadow says he wants to take some of my bandwidth and that helps solve my problem. Yeah, I mean, no. Hey man, I know you live up up nearby me. You can get that same bandwidth too. Maybe not, because I think you're in a different, whatever. Anyway, yeah, we are sponsored by what's ever in the 2GT fridge. So let's switch gears a little bit. There's a bunch of stuff that we still want to go through. I want to talk about something that this kind of is a downstream effect of putting in the new EFG. And that really is, Brandon, bring up the picture that I have in there. Hopefully that doesn't cause it. This is what it looks like right now. It's not pretty, friends. It's like, if I brought you guys over to the house, I don't think that I would be like, hey, look at, the rack is impressive. I'm not arguing that, but like, I'm not proud of that. This, I'm not proud of that, especially, I don't like the brush pass-throughs, but there really is effectively no other way to get SFP twin ax cables through your, from the back to the front without it. But then I started thinking about, I'm like, you know what? I have a 3D printer and there's gotta be somebody has solved this problem. I believe it. So I came across this project on printables, and see if Brandon catches it in time. There he goes. Super simple. It's a three. We'll scroll down here, look at it a little bit. It's basically a little 3-part deal, 2 halves, and the little, I guess the retention clip is what I would call this. That you put together, and then you can insert this as a Keystone into a Keystone patch panel. And you can pass your SFP cables through, your twin axe cables to be clear, and it looks presentable. It looks nice. So let me show you guys what that actually looks like, because I've got an example here, and you know, I haven't put it in yet, but I just bought this. Let's see if this works, Brandon. Put on the there you go. Hi, it's my other camera, which is technically just a cell phone. So so this is just your run of the mill, like cheap. This is like $15 Keystone patch panel that I got off of Amazon, right? Funnily enough, this thing is like, it's 19 inches wide because it's a 19-inch rack patch panel, and they send it in like a 2.5 or like a 3-foot long box. It was absurd. Anyway, 3D printers are, if there's anything you guys walk away with after hanging out with me for a long time, it's that I need you guys to all own 3D printers. So this is effectively the parts, right? You've got left and rights, which are identical, and then the little retention clip, and it goes together effectively like this. You can see you've got, this is with the retention clip in there, and then, you know, if we slide these parts together like mirror, and there it goes, and it, like, you know, it's friction fit and it holds itself together, and they fit into here. Let me spin this around so we can see it, just like that, and you have a little hole, and you can see the back side of it, and you can see the retention clip. So I'm going to attempt to build this on camera and not look like a goofball. So let me grab an SFP cable. Got yourself an SFP plus, a red one, you know, because I like colors. Colors are good. Use colors to define the networks. And it gets a little, I mean, let's be clear, it kind of gets a little weird. So I'm going to have to spin this around here. I'll just pass this through it. Number 3. So that is, imagine doing this on your own rack. I'll just leave this out like this. And then from the back side here, we're going to take this guy here. Let me make sure I got the orientation correct. I do. Hopefully you can see this and I'm not just like fumbling my way through it. If this is a terrible example of this, I recommend you buy your own 3D printer and do it yourself. Anyway, so now you can see I've kind of like encapsulated that cable on there, right? And so then we take this guy here and we do the old-fashioned just snap-a-roo, and look at that. It still moves. It's not like it's stuck, which is good because you can pass it through, but tell me that's not badass, guys. Tell me that is not like the coolest, like, I mean, obviously there's a label here, so it stopped me from doing it, but like, then you can loop this around like so, plug it into whatever network switch you've got, and it looks clean AF. I just can't say. I look away for 1 minute and you guys just go off in the chat. Anyway, so, and then of course, because this is a good old-fashioned Keystone, they just come right out when you want to change it out, and there you go. I'm just saying, if you guys want to pretty up, because this is the ugliest part of a home lab. You can prove me wrong, but the ugliest part of the home lab is passing through either fiber cables or DACs and making it look nice on the front. So there you go. I have provided you a solution, and I will put a link in the, I'll make sure to put a link to this in the show notes for this episode. But yeah, I'm loving this. I printed a bunch out. I have a whole plan this weekend to tear down all of my SFPs, because, you know, Brandon, if you want to go back to the picture again, there's a big cluster of green cables there, and those are all 10 gig. There's basically 2x10 that come from my test host that I run. It's the host I do all my like real hardcore testing of virtualization on, right? And the quad node. And so there's 2 10 gigs coming off each one of those nodes in that quad node, and it just looks like garbage. It just doesn't. I've never liked it. I never liked the way it looked, and so that's gonna get fixed, and I'll be like, oh, magic. Buy yourself a 3D printer. It doesn't have to be a special expensive one. These days, they're making huge advancements in it. And like Sakura, This is why my networking is on the rear of my rack, so I don't have cables on the front. I respect that, sir. In an ideal world, I would have one of those really nice deep front racks that the door has like 4 or 6 inches before it actually hits the rails, and like you see in big data centers. But those are hard to come by, and when you do find them, they're crazy expensive. So, what's the top switch? Dave says the top switch. We can actually go back to the web page, and we can, that top switch there is this guy here. It is my USW Pro aggregation switch, which I've had for a long time. And it's a 10, it's basically, what is it? It's 24, I can't remember how many ports this is. But these are all 10 gig ports. And then there's a set of 4 SFP28s for 25 gig. And it's a great switch. I mean, I was looking at Ubiquiti's website, and actually this is the thing that broke my heart a little bit, because I try not to chase hardware just for the trends of it, but like I'm going through this trying to okay, let's find that. Like here they for $2,500 they've got their like a 32 port 25 gig, and I just keep going down. It's like, where's mine at? I don't have ETH lighting. I don't have any of that. I don't have Christmas lights in my network switch. I get down here, still looking, and where's it at? You guys gave it a different name. Anyway, they basically call it vintage. They actually add the tag vintage to it, which broke my heart because it doesn't feel vintage to me. It's only like 3 or 4 years old. So to call something vintage, it's only 3 or 4 years old, just feels. I'm trying to find it so I can show you guys my heartbreak. I have to search for it. Aggregation Pro. Not that one, and not that one. All right, that's super useful. Cameras, that's what I searched for. I searched for cameras when I was looking for Aggregation Pro. Thanks. Anyway, they call it vintage, and that broke my heart. It really does. Like, come on, it's not that old. It's 10 gig, for Christ's sake. Come on, it's not that bad. Don't call it old. I'm not old. This isn't like, maybe it became a personal insult. Carl Dayton said, by the way, those Flex Mini 2.5 gig switches are damn good. He has both the 1 gig ones and the 2.5 gig ones, and they're amazing. I agree. I have this one right here. And there's only one caveat that I'll say about these, because they're all PoE powered, and my 3D printer, it's the shelf switch that does all that stuff. They don't support spanning tree. They don't support spanning tree, so you can easily make a loop there and go oopsie and cause problems. And I've had it do weird things in the past. Earlier versions of it, I had my 1 gig switch actually create a loop for no reason. I think there was just a firmware update that was sent to it, and I had to roll back. And when I rolled back from that firmware, everything was fine. I haven't had that since, but take that for what it's worth. But yeah, I love these things, and they're dirt cheap. Like, come on, and what is the Flex for $50, 2.5 gig? I mean, that's a good deal. And then we hop into $300 for the 10 gig, which that's a bit much. So this is that one's PoE and then 4 10 gigs. Yeah, that's still not bad. I don't know what you would use that other port for though, because if you want to uplink, you want to stay at 10 gig, but I don't know. It's sold out. You can't buy it anyway. It's such is life of Unify. Chat. I'm sorry. I'm just looking at the chat. Anyway, so let's get back on it. So yeah, so let's go. We have a few. I did want to touch on some pretty interesting news topics because I like news, and I think you do too. And my thing froze, so that's cool. Brandon brought this one up, and I thought it'd be a fantastic opportunity to talk about this guy here. Verizon is tight-lipped about outage cause, but the embarrassing reason has been figured out. There's a little hyperbole in that, I might say. So Alleycat Trucker says that you don't have to use your uplink for power, which is on those switch. So that's good. Anyway, in the United States, we had quite a bit of an outage for Verizon customers, Verizon mobile customers, the cell phones, right? And Verizon kept their mouth shut and didn't say anything other than, we're working on it, we're getting it, we're going to work on it to get it fixed. And then they eventually did get it fixed. But there was a whole lot of speculation when it happened. They thought that a lot of the people are so prone to hyperbole. Like, it must be a cyber attack. China must have gotten in there and just China'd it up or something. I don't know. But it was just like absurd. The theories are coming out. And, you know, there's in the end, a lot of, this is not the first article I've read that talked about it being a bad software update. That affected only their standalone 5G service, which is a lot of phones. I mean, it basically put all those 5G phones in SOS. So, you know, it took them effectively like most of a day to get it fixed. And this happened at like, what did they say the time this kicked off? Because it happened out on the East Coast predominantly. Yeah, so 11 a.m. Eastern time. So, you know, the West Coast, we were still kind of waking up and shaking off the sleep. But it led me down a interesting conversation with a friend of mine that in a former life, I was doing network and system infrastructure stuff for a company that made test and measurement equipment they made a lot of test and measurement equipment for a lot of stuff, but they made sell base stations, and they made test equipment for that kind of stuff. And you learn a lot when you're adjacent to that whole process, that whole business where, you know, they're making the things that test the cell phones to validate for networks, or they're testing the networks themselves to make sure that they're functioning proper, or that the coverage from cell sites is good. Like, it's cool technology. I mean, it was really, really cool technology. But I had learned a long time ago that there's all of these rules and protections that the FCC requires of mobile carriers, because it's considered a one of those like critical networks, like a critical service. So like, you get in a car accident and you can't call somebody because your phone is dead. That's a problem. People can die, right? So it's a big deal. So what I'm ultimately interested to know in the end of this is, does anything actually come of this from the FCC, right? I mean, we Americans are living in interesting times, so probably not, but I would hope, because if you rely on your cell phone and you're out in the middle of nowhere and something bad happens to you, you can't call anybody, that's a big deal. But the article does purport in here, and again, this is more hyperbole than anything, that, you know, if you remember, Verizon did a massive layoff of like 13,000 employees, right? And a lot of what they had said at the time was, well, we're going to use AI to increase efficiency. Everything that every corporation in America and in the world is saying right now is like, we're going to cut headcount and we're going to use AI to replace them. So there's a lot of FUD about whether that led to that, or if it was just somebody making a mistake. I have $5 on somebody hit the wrong buto at the wrong time and caused some stuff. Sean, welcome. Good to have you. So I have to say that, you know, I'm a T-Mobile user. So actually, I'm a Mint Mobile user, to be clear, which is owned by T-Mobile now. So it's T-Mobile phone, even though it says Mint. So none of this ever affected me or the people around me. But man, if you're a Verizon user, there's probably a big chunk of time that you couldn't make a phone call or get data on your phone. That's not good. So it would be nice to see actually repercussions of it. But, you know, if you're a Verizon customer, you're going to get a $20 credit on your bill. That'll offset all those additional fees that they put on there to you know, offset their stuff, right? So you have a $20 cheaper month. You really should switch to a different carrier. I'm just saying. I mean, Verizon, AT&T, you know, they're the big guys. So, but yeah, that was an interesting thing to see. Oh, and there's a, do you view Verizon differently after the outage? The other thing that I wanted to touch on, because I thought was kind of fascinating, is you guys been following the news about China and Broadcom? China is, what we're basically hearing is that China's going to tell Broadcom to take its VMware software, its security software, and take a hike. So this is, I'll just look at the chat there. This I find to be fascinating news because, I mean, I would say, and I'm not, that one of Broadcom's kind of key strategic things was to maintain it at a minimum, their Asia Pacific region dominance in virtualization. And China's a huge player in that. And so I imagine that fundamentally this all comes down to governments being governments, right? I mean, I don't think that specifically China sees anything in Broadcom other than it being American owned, and they want to try to build up their own local entities, virtualization or security software platforms, that kind of stuff. But this is going to have, if this fully comes to play, it's going to have a big impact on Broadcom's bottom line when it comes to VMware. Is it enough to move a needle? No. A leopard doesn't change its spots. If Broadcom was to just say, you know what, we're just not going to sell to China, I mean, the stock would dip a little bit, but they'll just keep on being evil corp, and that's just the way it'll be. That's not going to change. But it really did get me thinking. The chat is crazy. It really did get me thinking that what it would be like to be in China and working for a Chinese company that has a bunch of VMware, going through we all went through like the nightmare of Broadcom, but and being like, oh, and by the way, let's say you did stay with Broadcom and you paid, and now you have to get rid of it and you can't use it. So you have to find something else. Like, insult to injury. That's the situation where I think as an infrastructure engineer, you probably go, you know what? I think I'd rather, I would say in America, I'd rather be a beet farmer. But maybe in China, it's more like, I'd rather, I don't know. I don't want to say anything that comes off inappropriate, but yeah, imagine being a VxRail customer. Yeah, I don't know if Dell sold VxRail in China, but the sentiment is there, Dave. I get that. But, Dave brings up VxRail. Verge OS slots in very nicely and replaces VMware on VxRail hardware, and I'm not gonna say your problems are solved, but it gets you along pretty well. So this is an interesting. I'm going to keep an eye on this because I find the geopolitical stuff notwithstanding, I'm not a big fan of the politics or geopolitical stuff, but I am a fan of watching what this does to VMware, Broadcom as a whole. So, it's an interesting time, friends. We live in interesting times. That's all I gotta say. But poor VxRail. Yeah, pour one out for VxRail. Yeah, I guess. Dell did it to himself. Michael Dell did it to himself. He did. And Shadow Technologies is starting down the Nutanix rabbit hole. Shadow, you should join the Discord chat tonight and tell me about your experience, because I know others that are going that route too. So anyway, I think that's really effectively it, isn't it, Brandon? I'm just looking through our stuff here. Yeah, I think that's it. It is getting about that time, friends. Again, I just want to say thank you guys for joining me. It's been a blast. Hopefully you picked up something interesting. Hopefully you had a good time. My last chance to say this as my typical thing, join our Discord, totally free. That's where I'm going right after this show. Place to hang out, chat, ask questions, talk about home lab stuff. It's the community, and the community is where it's at. So friends, it's been an honor and a privilege. I will see you next week. Same time. I'm going over to the end stream button here. Same channel. And we'll see you then. Have a good one.